Hey guys, it's Mike from We Are the Batman here. Just want to let you know we have a new website you guys can go to. Just go to podpage.com/We Are the Batman. That's podpage.com/We Are the Batman. You can get all of our episodes there, get a little more information about us, and most importantly, you can leave us reviews and you can leave us comments and messages, send us questions and episode ideas, and you can even leave us voicemails. All these great tools are on the website. Head over to podpage.com/We Are the Batman. We always love to hear from you guys. Head on over there now and check it out. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to We Are the Batman. My name is Mike.
And this is Matthew.
We're cramming in some DC news for this week because there's not a lot of big news, but a lot of little news and just some fun stuff to talk about and speculate about a little bit. The first of which we're going to get into because Dark Crisis is wrapping up. The guys behind Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths is shared some preview art for the event's final issue that's looking like a big change and a big, I dare say, promotion for one of DC's characters. Now, fair warning, this story does contain some spoilers for Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7, but we're going to talk about this nonetheless. If you don't want to hear it, I don't know, I'll put time codes or something in the description so you guys can skip ahead.
Skip ahead 30 seconds. Maybe we won't be talking about it anymore.
Yeah, because we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but what it's looking like. So spoilers.
Spoiler.
All right. So it's looking like Nightwing is going to be kind of the new the big dog with DC. The way things are setting up. I have not read Dark Crisis as of right now, so fair warning. I personally don't know what all is really going on with it. But it implies that like Nightwing might be going to the dark side a little bit with the way some of this stuff is panning out, and he might kind of become the new like big dog figurehead, tough guy. Don't mess with this dude for the DC universe. And since Matt is our resident Nightwing guy, how's this making you feel, dude?
Like this is one of those things where over the last 7-8 years, ever since Rebirth, Nightwing has really kind of started changing as a character in that it's being told by Batman and other people that Nightwing is the guy who should be the forefront. You know, Batman's kind of thought about Dick Grayson as like, you know, eventually you're going to lead the Justice League. You're going to be the best of us. You're going to be doing what I'm doing now. You're going to be doing, but better. So that's kind of been a play as they've kind of retconned his origin and his costume as his time as Robin. And now that he is, you know, coming to being a much better Nightwing, the Tom Taylor's been writing the series for maybe 2 years now. And some of the stuff he has Dick Grayson doing in his public persona and also Nightwing is fantastic. Kind of weird of like, oh, this is the kind of stuff Bruce Wayne should be doing in Gotham. Like, you know, creating, you know, charity organizations that are helping grow the city. And being a public figurehead for bettering Bloodhaven. So this doesn't surprise me in that Nightwing is becoming a man in his book. Because, you know, with all those Robin characters, you know, like Tim Drake, Damian Wayne, spoiler, you could tell they're still teenagers. Red Hood, you're assuming he's probably early 20s, but it's always so hard to tell in these, the way they're drawn. But right now, Dick Grayson is squarely being like he's not a young adult anymore. He could, if they come out and said, you know, Nightwing is 30, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, he is becoming a man more so than he has been betrayed in the last several years or previous to 6-7 years ago. And so this is just one of those things like, yeah, let's do this. Like we need Nightwing. Nightwing should be the Spider-Man of the DCU. He should be the forefront character. He should be popular. There's no reason why he shouldn't, besides his rather extensive history.
which is a funny way of saying he gets laid a lot. It's
That too.
Nightwing is just anyway. Yeah, so it is true. Nightwing is one of those characters that, and we talked about this. We've talked about this several times, even
Yes.
just recently. Well, because we did our episode about characters we want to see in a live action movie. It is absolutely insane that in 2023, Nightwing hasn't existed in a live action movie. That's that's ridiculous. That's just kind of insane. Um, there was rumors that one was happening, but of course that was like in the early days before everything else went down over at Warner Brothers Discovery. So, who's to say we won't see it eventually? Probably not with Matt Reeves, at least not anytime soon. But at least in the comics, it's they're finally getting back to where they were, I think, in the '90s, which is like really giving Nightwing something to do that's more than just, taking down street thugs and being kind of just like DC's version of James Bond.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where, this character can excel is you have, in my opinion, and it's kind of weird to say it this way, Batman could never be Captain America. You know,
No.
a friend of mine once described the difference between two characters, and I stand by this: is if you need to find somebody, Batman's your guy. If you need to win a war, Captain America's your guy. But
Yeah.
there there isn't anybody like that in the DCU that like Captain America, and I think Nightwing could easily slide into that place of like the guy who is inspirational to get you to win that war because sometimes it takes more than strategy to win a battle or win a war. It takes inspiration. It takes somebody who can really lead. And I think Nightwing is that character that could become that. Now, I'm not saying he should become, Captain Darkness or what, whatever you want to call it.
Captain Darkness.
I don't know why that was the name I pulled out of my butt. But my point more is like the character, the way he is, he's not as dark and grim as Batman. He is not as like jokey crazy as, some of these other characters. He's your stalwart, full of integrity guy. And I'm really glad that we're seeing that in the character. And like, this may come as a weird kind of turn of events, but he now has Nightmite. So just like
Oh yeah.
Batman has Batmite, Nightwing has Nightmite now. So the fact that he has gotten to the status of he has a Mistleplik character who is devoted to him, we know we're going places with the character.
I would also like to point out that Captain Darkness was the name of an evil villain from the Spanish animated series Sylvan, and he was a giant boar, anthropomorphic boar who wore a black suit of armor and a cape. Because I had to Google it as soon as you said that. Yeah,
My hate for you is delicious, bro.
with the Nightwing thing, it's something I've always thought about Nightwing is that he is all the best parts of Batman without the complexes. Like Batman's
Yes.
great, but he is mentally unstable. He dresses like a bat, ladies and gentlemen. Nightwing is all the best parts of Batman without the without the daddy issues, really, without the god complex. So it's interesting that he does seem kind of like if you need someone to take up that leadership role, who's got all the best parts of Batman but is less of a dick.
Yeah.
Nightwing's the way to go there. So it'll be curious to see what happens with this. Again, I haven't read anything from Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths yet. Maybe now I should. If this is the route they're taking, shit, I might have to. It's only 7 issues. I might have to go pick those up and read those. Maybe we can do that at some point.
I think that's good. I haven't read it either. I mean, Nightwing, the other thing with Nightwing is his 100th issue released today. And if memory serves,
Oh,
the character has never reached that.
really?
So he's never gotten to an issue 100.
Really?
So
Yes, he did.
I
Back in
don't.
2009.
Are you sure?
I'm looking at it right here.
Huh? I didn't think he had ever got.
Says
Maybe I quit before then.
maybe, I don't know, but anyway, maybe it's the 100th issue in this series. But either way, I mean that's still cool. So yeah, more Nightwing. Let's do more with Nightwing. When they brought his series back with Rebirth, I know I was excited and because like Grayson was fine, but like I was like, this is just not Nightwing. It's just
Yeah.
not Nightwing is all it is. Just keep doing Nightwing. Anyway, so we'll see what's going on with that. Moving on from that, let's get into some award news, because there's some actually a lot of award news going on.
Yes.
DC's Harley Quinn, the animated series on HBO Max, which I love wholeheartedly, and season 3 was absolutely incredible, won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Animated Series.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't hate the show. I just haven't made time to get back into it.
Well, and you like, this sounds like a cop out, but like, you have kids, and it's a very adult show. It's a very adult show. So it's like, this is one of those things where it's like, if you're going to watch this, you better make sure none of them are around.
Correct.
Because, yeah.
Well, and it doesn't help that I think my wife was kind of like, nope, I don't like this. So it's like, if I watch it, it's got to be when no one's around, which is
Yeah.
never.
Yeah, good luck with that. Reason number 17,000 why I don't have kids, ladies and gentlemen. Reasons number 1 through 16,999. No woman will let me. But yeah, it's this show. I did a watch along for it on the Off the Wall YouTube channel, and the show for season 3. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. Like seasons 1 and 2, and season 3. Like, talk about finding a way to perfectly blend raunchy, irreverent humor, intense violence, but also wonderful character development and great storytelling. Um, and honestly, just from a comedic standpoint, some of the best joke writing I've ever seen in a show. Period. This was a show that when it was announced, I could not have cared less. Like, they're like, it's going to be this super adult animated Harley Quinn show with Kaylee Cuoco, and I was like, nothing about that sounds good.
Yeah.
And even the first trailer, I was like, oh, I see what you're going for. I don't know if I'm there yet. And I watched the first episode and I binged the whole first season. It's such a great show. So for the Critics' Choice Awards to give it Best Animated Series, is absolutely fantastic. I do like the Critics' Choice Awards for the most part. I'm a little iffy on some of their other decisions from this year, but that's another podcast. So yeah, and also, like, shout out to the crew for finding that balance between the irreverence and the humor and the story and the character development, unlike some other shows on HBO Max, which shall remain nameless, who are trying very hard to be Harley Quinn and failing miserably. So that's
Hey,
fun.
leave Bat Wheels alone, bro. No.
Oh God, no. Bat Wheels is better than the show I'm talking about. Let's see. James Gunn recently was asked about excuse me, was asked about, the ideas of casting for Superman, and he basically said, stop asking. He said, my thoughts on, because somebody said, like, hey, what do you think about this guy for Superman? And James Gunn replied, my thoughts are no one has been cast as Superman yet. He said, casting, as is almost always the case with me, will happen after the script is finished or close to finished, and it isn't. We'll announce a few things in not too long, but the casting of Superman won't be one of them. Now there's a couple things I want to say about this tweet. One, that makes all the sense in the world. Why would you cast somebody when you haven't written the damn movie yet?
Correct.
Number one. Number two, once again, we say this every time. Shout out to James Gunn for getting out ahead of this stuff and keeping it real and managing expectations. Also excellent. Now, the thing about this tweet that really has me scratching my head is that after all this block of text is a single emoji, and that single emoji is of a merman, which has me wondering, are we going to get some Aquaman news?
I mean, that, or he miskeyed something. No.
Could be. That could very well be. The reason I bring that up specifically is because, one, merman, Aquaman makes sense. Number two, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is supposed to come out December of this year. We've seen nothing from it. And we've had a lot of rumors going around right now about other stuff.
Yeah. I think the last thing we saw is when DC did that. No, no, we're still relevant. Trust us. Look, we're going to put a trailer out that shows all the upcoming movies. Trust us,
Oh,
it's
that
going to
was
be
so
fine.
stupid. They put that in front of the Batman, and I was like, "You don't need to do this ever again." Yeah, it's just that one sweeping shot we keep seeing of Jason Momoa in the all black Aquaman suit, and we know
Yeah,
that Ben Affleck went and did some reshoots for stuff for the movie. We have seen,
pre-change.
yeah, this was pre James Gunn. All this is pre James Gunn. But as we know, all that happened. We have seen nary a trailer, nor a clip, nor a poster. Um, so, and if he's telling us, "Hey, news is coming soon," here's a picture of a mermaid, a merman. I mean, all signs point to we're going to get some kind of information about Aquaman.
Yeah. Uh,
So,
I think,
it's,
yeah, I think that's it. I mean, whether it's going to be that we'll never see that movie, it's going to be shelved, or hey, relax, guys, we're going to release it. There's no telling.
yeah,
You know,
I don't know, and
I,
especially, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I said, my thought is, I think they're keeping quiet on Shazam because that ball was had already rolled too far down the hill for them to
Yeah,
stop it. But I think post Shazam, it's clean. I'm telling you, that's
which
what I've been saying.
really has me even more curious about what's going to happen with Blue Beetle and how that's going to factor into everything because Shazam Fury of the Gods comes out in mid March. We're 2 months away almost to the day.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious to see when this news is going to drop and what it's actually going to be. It's also curious to me that the possibility still stands that all this stuff would get shelved. Meanwhile, that Gotham Knights TV show is going to continue to exist, but that's a whole other thing. That show needs to just die in a fire. Whoever came up with the idea of that show should be fired.
Yeah.
Also, nice job releasing a show called Gotham Knights like a few months after you released a video game called Gotham Knights, and the two have nothing to do with each other, like at all, except Batman dies.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's and also the video game's terrible. Anyway, let's get into our last little chunk of stuff here. Well, last two. This one's not really so much news. We kind of already knew this was happening. I think we touched on this once before. It's just nice to get the confirmation, which is that Matt Reeves says the Penguin series will tie into the Batman 2, which he is currently deep in the writing process of. We knew that it was going to be taking place between the two movies, but to know that it's going to essentially set up for the Batman 2 just has me all that more excited to see what this show is going to be like.
Yeah. I think, like, we talked about it a little bit before, is that if it's going to be lead into it, I think that's cool. I think that gives a little more ramp up to the movie,
Mhm.
because we still don't, if that I'm aware of, we don't know when the Penguin show is going to come out.
No, there's no.
So,
It hasn't even like started production yet. Like
yeah.
Colin Farrell said he saw a draft of the script, but they haven't
Yeah.
even gone into production yet.
So if you time it right, where, cuz I mean, they're saying they're writing Batman 2,
Mhm.
which means at minimal we're 3 years out from seeing that movie.
Which they were pretty upfront about even when the movie came out. They said it'll probably be 2025 before we see part two.
Yeah. So with that in mind, you drop this the latter half or the mid beginning of 2024, and now
Yeah,
you lead into that. Like, I think it's a good go between, especially depending on how you end that show. If that
yeah.
show cliffhangers on, well, we got to find out what's happened in the movie. I think that will help kind of build up the hype, because look, as much as there are a ton of people who love that movie, I think in my circle there's still a lot of people who kind of liked it and or hated it.
Yeah.
So I think if you can get people on board, because I think universally everybody is down with Colin Farrell's Penguin.
And if they're not, they're smoking some kind of crack I can't even fathom because that makes no sense to me.
Yeah. So I think you get people on that bandwagon, maybe you can win some of these people back to come back and see the second one.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought the movie was great, and I'm looking forward to a second one. And yeah, let's go with it. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. Let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, well, and speaking more on the Batman on its on because yeah, there are it is not a Batman movie for all people. It was not casting a wide net. It had a specific audience it was appealing to, and I think it appealed to that audience pretty fantastically. But who it also appealed to a little bit anyway is the BAFTAs because the Batman has been nominated for four BAFTAs. Been nominated for Best Achievement in Special Visual Effects, Best Production Design, Best Makeup and Hair, and Best Cinematography. I think the cinematography one in particular is definitely the one I would want to hang my hat on because the way that movie was shot was Greg Fraser did an incredible job with, or Greg Fraser did an incredible job with that. The production design as well. I mean, they made that city look so real and so lived in. I've been replaying Arkham Knight recently, and it really made me feel like it took inspiration from the design of Gotham City in that game. Yeah, and I mean, it's been grabbing nominations left and right. We talked previously, like the soundtrack has a Grammy nomination that's still pending. Um, the London Film Critics Circle nominated Colin Farrell for Best Irish Actor of the Year. The Satellite Awards was nominated for Best Visual Effects. I mean, there are still dozens of awards it's been nominated for. Outstanding ensemble for a SAG nomination for outstanding ensemble performance. I mean, this thing is grabbing up awards and nominations left and right. And I know we're only like a week away from the Oscar awards being nominations being announced. So we'll see what happens more with that. But yeah, man, the Batman is still grabbing up award nods left and right because yeah, like you said, like we said, it did not cast a wide net, but it cast a very strong net where it was going.
Yes, and I like look. This is where, in my opinion, like you have a difference between it's not a movie for me, but it's still a fantastic movie. Cannot deny all of what you're saying. It does deserve the awards. It was phenomenally acted. It's amazing. Like, was the story an action packed Batman story? No, it wasn't. But if you didn't get that from the trailer, you're dumb.
Was the movie like the movie was everything they said it was going to be?
Yeah,
Honestly, if you didn't know that's what it was going to be, that's kind of on you.
that is not kinda. It is exactly on you.
Everyone told you what this was going to be. So
Yeah,
so
so this should
uh,
not be a surprise. But no, I think it deserves it. I mean, I still say no one has acted through the cowl like Pattinson did.
no.
That you knew what he was thinking and knew what he was doing is just a testament of not only how fantastic that actor was, but how fantastic like all of it is. You know what I mean? You don't get that kind of performance without the director pushing you as well. So no, I think it's all great and it deserves all the awards. It's great.
It absolutely does. I mean, it's still, I go back and revisit my lists and stuff like that, and it's still sitting as just my favorite Batman movie. Easily my favorite Robert Pattinson performance. I said even prior to the movie coming out, I'm like, there's so much just top tier talent in front of and behind the camera on this movie that it's hard to imagine it not just crushing. And so far, like the number of people I have encountered who have seen the movie and and just flat out didn't like it are few and far between, and most of them were purely superficial. So it is what it is. I can be. I'm trying to be objective. I really can't be. I absolutely love this movie, so I think it deserves all the recognition in the world. So yeah, I mean, like, so congrats to them, and also God bless Matt Reeves because like Barry Keegan's been nominated for an acting award at the BAFTAs, but not for the Batman, obviously because he wasn't in the Batman enough to get it. But he's getting nominated for something else. And what I love about Matt Reeves as a director is when the people he's worked with get recognition for other things, he goes out of his way to voice his support for them because people who worked on the Batman are getting nominated for other projects and he's still tweeting about it. And I love that about him.
Yes, yes. And I think we covered this before, but I know they keep saying Is he going to be pulled into the DCU with all the Matt Reeves Batman stuff? I think not, and I think let's leave it. You know what I
Well,
mean?
James Gunn has all but said like no. Like I
Yeah.
think we talked. I think we talked about this off the mic at one point. I don't know if we talked about it on here, but somebody there. But I think it was THR put out an article saying that like sources indicate they're going to work Matt Reeves Batman into it, and James Gunn came out and said no. Like he's like, I know this reporter. He needs to get a new source because that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that like you know, just leave this world alone. If you want to have another Batman, that's going to be with the heroes. That's fine.
And I trust James Gunn to be able to look at this and say, yeah, no, this is fine as it is. Just we're just gonna leave this alone. They don't need us.
Yeah.
Like the Matt Reeves Batman, they don't need the DCU. They don't need a bigger universe. They know what they're doing. They're fine.
Yeah.
Same with Joker. You know, they're working on the sequel to Joker right now. He's like, you know what? Leave it alone. It's fine the way it is. Don't touch it. Why don't fix what ain't broken, kids?
Yeah. Well, you get to that point of like, I don't know if you guys recall, but Batman has had like 3 or 4 very successful franchises that had zero to do with any other DC superheroes.
That's very true. That is very, very true.
Along with dozens of cartoons and blah blah blah. So yeah, let him do his thing. It's fine. But speaking of James Gunn, like all right, guys, he's been nice enough to respond to stuff, but let's not go over the top with this. This is where I feel like you're you're gonna put that man to the point where he's like, I ain't talking to him anymore.
And we don't want that. We want him to keep talking to us
Yeah.
because we need that.
So let's not get into demanding crap from him. Let's not get into, hey, what about this? Like, guys, it's like, even if the script is in development, we're not going to see that movie for several years,
It's
which
gonna
means it,
be a bit.
well, and it means it may not even be cast till later, or, you
Yeah.
know, if it's, because nowadays, unless you're the actor and the producer, most directors out there don't write a script with somebody in mind in this
No.
capacity. James Gunn is the head of the DC film universe. He wants to make sure the story makes sense before he even considers who he's going to put in these parts. So there's no casting.
Yeah.
Period. Like
To
there's not.
give you an example, there's when you write for a character versus when you write for an actor. When you write for a character, you get the Batman. When you write for an actor, you get Black Adam.
Yes.
They
Yes.
made Black Adam for The Rock. They
Yes.
made the Batman, and then Robert Pattinson was lucky enough to be invited to join the party. Like it's there's a when you write for a specific actor, you run the risk of not of sacrificing story, of sacrificing substance for spectacle.
Well, let's not forget back when he was doing Guardians of the Galaxy, I can remember following on Twitter like the number of people that read for Star Lord, and it was dozens of them.
It's such a long list.
Like I even like through his podcast, Michael Rosenbaum admitted that he read for Star Lord. Like Tom Welling, I think talked about reading for it. They were going to everybody for that role. Um, honestly, because he said that he didn't want to cast Chris Pratt. but so we just don't know. So leave the
Yeah.
dude alone about this stuff. And when it's time, it'll be time. We let's get through the rest of this DCFU before we worry about who he's going to put in those parts.
And if you have not watched the video of the screen test between Chris Pratt and Dave Bautista for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, do it. Because while Chris Pratt is still very much figuring out how he wants to be Star-Lord, Dave Bautista is so dialed in to Drax that honestly, his screen test is is about as good as his performance on screen. It's fantastic. Please watch it.
I will definitely have to give that a shot.
It's
All right,
very good.
we got any more news, brother? Or have we
That's it, man. That's
plowed
that's
through it?
That's all the important stuff going on right now. And who knows, by the time I edit this and get it uploaded, something else might have dropped. In which case, guess what, guys? It's going to wait for next week because it's already Thursday when we're doing this. So it's just, but that again, we say every time we do this news, this is the new world we live in with James Gunn heading over at DC. We're here for it, but that also means, stuff's going to drop at the last minute, and it's like, damn it, all right, guess we got to talk about this. So here's hoping, because I'm already having a busy Thursday, nothing happens between now and tomorrow so that I can finish what I got to do, because if we got to come back and re-record this, I'm going to be an angry little elf, and I would rather not be. So that's what we got. Hey, listen, if you guys have stuff you want us to talk about, whether it's something in the news that we missed, a particular topic for a show, if you have comments, criticisms, concerns, what have you about anything, or you want to send us questions. We like to do Q&A episodes, so we always want you guys to send us some questions as well. You can do that a couple different ways. Obviously, you can hit us up on Twitter at We Are The Batman. You can also go to our new website, which is podpage.com/We Are The Batman. Click the contact button. It is pinned on our Twitter as well, and you can fill out the form and send us questions there as well. Matt, where else can they send us questions and info and all that other stuff?
You can go to the Facebook group for my previous podcast, www.facebook.com/group/fanboyjunction with a K.
And if you guys want to talk to us one-on-one, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can hit me up at Mr. J Ninja.
That is going to do it for this week on We Are The Batman. We'll see you guys again next time. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Take care, guys.